Think about something. They cover themselves. Exactly why, we do not know. If you ever get a chance to watch, I guess they're on CD now, or DVD, R.C. Sproul's teaching on the holiness of God, I want you to get it, because he touches on this in such a beautiful way. That they're covering themselves, especially their feet, because feet, in a sense in Scripture, seem to represent the creature or clay. That they're covering themselves up because they're going, do not look upon us, a creature, in the presence of God. He talks about the holiness of God in so many ways there. For example, when David is bringing back the Ark of the Covenant, and the Ark falls over, and Uzzah stretches out his hand to touch the Ark, to steady it so that it doesn't fall, and God kills Uzzah. R.C. Sproul points out this. Uzzah's great error was this. He supposed that his hand was cleaner than the ground. He said God's never had a problem with the ground. He sends rain and the ground turns to mud. He sends the sun and the ground hardens back up again to clay. He's never had a problem with dirt. But with man, that's quite another thing. It'll really, really help you to come to understand some things about the holiness of God if you'll get that. With two, he covered his face. To cover one's face was a common symbol of both reverence and humility. Matthew Poole writes, covered his face out of profound reverence as being so sensible of the infinite distance between God and him that he durst not presume to look directly upon him and judge himself neither able nor worthy to behold the brightness of his glory. So you and Jesus still got your own thing going here? I hate statements like that. Hate them. Never forget who this carpenter is. John Gill writes that they were unable to look upon the dazzling glory and infinite perfections of his being, and so they did as Elijah, who wrapped his face in a mantle when he heard the still small voice of the Lord, and as Moses before him did, being afraid to look upon God. Yet you'll rush in, bow your knee, and just start talking without ever thinking about the person to whom you're speaking. John Calvin writes, even angels cannot endure God's brightness, and that they are dazed by it in the same manner as when we attempt to gaze upon the radiance of the sun. The other day, my little boy Ian said, Daddy, can I look at God? I said, can you look at the sun? He said, no, I cannot look at the sun. Hurts my eyes. I said, son, then you cannot look upon the one who made the sun. Matthew Henry writes, though angels' faces doubtless are much fairer than those of the children of men, yet in the presence of God they cover them because they cannot bear the dazzling luster of the divine glory, and because being conscious of an infinite distance from the divine perfection, they are ashamed to show their faces before the holy God. Oh, my dear friend, just take this book home, this manual, read through these things, pray, and then think, this is the one who died upon Calvary. This is the one who died upon Calvary. Think about this often. Who he was, what he became, and for your sakes he did this. And it'll become the controlling factor in your life. Some say that they did not look upon God because of his brilliance, his magnificence, his power, and that's true. Others say they did not look upon God because even though the seraphim contained such beauty, their beauty was nothing in comparison to that of the Son of God seated upon the throne. The one who gave his beard to be plucked, his face to be struck, his hands to be nailed, to be pawned around between Herod and Pilate as though he were some kind of circus animal, and to tolerate all your rebellion through all those many years before He caused you to know Him. And then to think about the dullness of our own hearts even now. That you can think about everything from furniture to sports to this, to that, to other things, and allow those types of thoughts to consume your mind and take you away from the only thing that's really important. Now, and two, He covered His feet, another gesture of reverence towards God. It is believed by some that in covering the feet, the seraphim were recognizing they were creatures and not gods. Thomas Boston writes, "Even the confirmed angels cover their feet with their wings, as if they would tell us that perfect created holiness is but a dark and smoky light before uncreated holiness." Now, this is so important. Look at the terminology he's using. Created holiness, uncreated holiness. Another thing we could say would be inherent holiness and derived holiness. Now, what does that mean? If an angel is alive, is he alive by his own power, or does his life come from another? His life is not inherent. It does not spring forth from him. He is not the cause or sustainer of his existence. His life is derived. It comes from God. You see that? Now, if the angel is holy, is it something that springs forth out of him, or is it a derived holiness, a created holiness? God is holy in and of Himself. It is inherent. It is not derived. It is what or who He is. But if an angel or men are holy, it is something that comes forth from God. That is one of the reasons why I think that the Scriptures are talking about not even the heavens are pure in His sight. That does not mean that the heavens are contaminated or filthy or dirty or anything but holy. But what it means is they are not holy in themselves. Heaven is not holy in itself. It is a derived or created holiness. God alone is holy. And that's another reason why, look what Thomas Boston says, even the confirmed angels. Have you ever heard that terminology before? The confirmed angels as opposed to unconfirmed angels, which is the same to say elect angels as opposed to non-elect angels. You see, the angels that didn't fall only because the Son of God didn't allow them to fall. Do you see that? It wasn't that they made the right choice, they did the right thing, they were the good guys, the other guys were bad guys. That's not how it happened. They remained loyal because He kept them loyal. He confirmed them. He elected them. You see, it all comes from Him. Everything comes from Him. Now, with two He flew. The greatest angels in glory were at the beck and call of the Son of God. Creatures that if they appeared, we would want to worship them. As a matter of fact,